We are starting a new discussion in this video on beams. The shear force and diagrams and bending moment diagrams are a very interesting area in engineering mechanics and mechanics of solids. This is often an area of very much of interest, and at the same time real difficulty for engineering students. Let's say if we can simplify a few terms in here, and let's say if we can find solutions for beam bending in this video and in the next few videos. So when you consider a beam, it's simply a beam. Let's consider a simple beam here, and which is supported at A and B. It can have different types of loads. It can have a point load. It can have a uniformly distributed load like this. It can also have a uniformly varying load like this. So these are the cases that F1, F2 per meter, F2 Newton per meter, or you have a maximum force in this case. So these are the three cases. Normally these are the three cases that we study in beam bending. And as I said, the beam is usually supported at either end, or in some cases the beam is simply supported, just supported, not simply supported, only supported at one end, say for A, and in such a beam is called a cantilever beam, which is having a support only at one end. When I say support, there are different kinds of support, and let me just write this. This is a point load. This is a uniformly varying load. And this is a uniformly distributed load. So these are the three load cases, and we have a few supports as well for the beams. When you consider a beam just like this, you have a beam like this, and you will have different kinds of support. In some cases you have a roller support here. The speciality or the condition of a roller support is that it can only resist forces in one direction, the normal to that plane. If you push this beam in this direction, this beam will just slide. As you can see, this roller will slide, and therefore the beam will slide. And in some other cases you will have a pin support, like in some cases you have a pin support like this. The pin support usually offer resistance in either directions, in that plane, in everywhere. So even if you have a load like this and like this support can resist both these. So this is a roller support, and the second one is a pin support. You can also have another support, like if you consider one more beam here. If you have a beam like this, you can also have a support which is offered at this end completely, or both ends for that matter. This is called a fixed support. It can resist any forces, like this one it will resist, and this one it will resist. It will also resist a rotary force or a rotating force which creates the bending of the beam. If in this case, in the pinned support or pin support case, if you have a force which is trying to overturn the beam, then this support cannot resist it. But in case of a fixed support, this support will resist all kind of forces. You can have fixed support at either end, at both ends. If you only have fixed support at one end, then this kind of beam is called a cantilever beam. This is only supported at one end, but at the same time you can also have beams supported at either ends. Like this, you have a fixed support here and a fixed support here. So in this case, this beam will resist forces in y direction, in x direction, and also the bending forces or rotating forces. This beam can resist all types of forces. Fixed support. So from the beginning, once again, you have three types of loads. It's a fixed uniformly distributed load, a point load, and a uniformly varying load. And you have three types of supports as well. One is a roller support, which can only resist the normal force, and the second is the pin support, which can resist forces in two directions, y directional forces and x directional forces, but it cannot resist a rotary force which is trying to bend the beam. This kind of supports cannot resist this and resist that kind of forces. And you have a third support, which is called a fixed support, which can resist forces in x, y direction, and also in the z direction, or trying to rotate the beam. If the beam is fixed, supported at one end, this kind of beams are called a cantilever beam. And you can also have beams supported on fixed support at either ends. This beam can resist literally any forces, as long as the force is not enough to break the beam. If it's going to break the beam, then it will break, but if the force is within that limit of the beam, then it can sustain any of those forces. We will resolve the different kind of forces and supports, and we will generate shear force and bending moment diagrams from the next video onwards. Thank you.